Coronavirus, let's talk facts, not fear. Right now we're joined by Dr. Carole Lieberman, board-certified psychiatrist, joining us via Skype. Doctor, thanks for joining us today. A lot of people looking forward to what you have to share with us. Let's get right to the first text. There's been an increase in suicides in correlations to the coronavirus pandemic. Are you seeing that, and where are people with this?
Yes, that is very unfortunately part of the fallout of coronavirus. People are feeling hopeless, helpless. It's something like the 9/11 when people were jumping out of the Twin Towers, partly because they were afraid they were going to die or they knew they were going to die, and partly because it seemed like the world was coming to an end. It's a kind of similar sort of situation here. And there are so many different things that are touching people. A lot of the media is very sensationalized. And so when people hear time and time again the message, you're going to die, we're all going to die, we're all going to die, some people want to take their own death into their hands, in other words, under their control, not waiting for it, especially when we've seen such sad stories of people with coronavirus dying alone because to be in quarantine.
What for people who are out there, I mean, let's say you've lost your job or you're also ill at the same time. What kind of signs should we be looking for with people who, they're feeling down, but we need to be concerned about them taking this even more so?
Yes, well, and I've called this suicide by fear or desperation related to coronavirus, covicide. What should people do? Well, first of all, people need to be on the lookout for their friends and family who are saying things like, this is just too much.
Okay.
I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know if I can get through this. Things that might seem casual, but really might reflect an underlying plan to do themselves in.
I got a Facebook message yesterday from a gentleman that I don't know, and he just said to me, he goes, "When is a good time to give up hope?" And I said, "We're going to be okay." And then he responded with, "That means a lot to me." And I thought that he's reaching out, and it's a really tough time for people.
Yes, that is the key. People have to. It's especially hard for people who are alone in isolation, but everybody really, even when you have a family, you need to reach out to people outside of who you're at home with to, first of all, warm their hearts, know that they have somebody who's caring about them, and also it makes you feel better. But, there's also, if you are having suicidal thoughts, there are also the possibilities of calling your own family doctor, calling therapist if you have one already, asking your family doctor for a therapist, calling a suicide hotline, calling, of course, ultimately calling 911 if it's really imminent.
Yeah. Most people do exhibit some sign, and you mentioned they may be saying something verbally. Sometimes they don't show any signs at all. Oh, the next one coming in, doctor, says the news is pretty scary. I keep seeing the number of deaths posted due to coronavirus. How are we not supposed to freak out?
Yes, good question. Well, one way is by limiting the amount of news that you take in. Things don't change that much from 1 hour to the next. And yes, these numbers, plus, sometimes the way the numbers are portrayed, they're global numbers, either whether it's the rate of death or the number of people who have died or are infected or whatever. And the numbers for the U.S. are much better than that. People have to keep that in mind, that really we have much better medical care. We're not living as close together as people in China or people in Iran, for example. So whatever the numbers are, it's really much better for where we are in the U.S.
All right, doctor, thank you. And I think you make a good point. It may be counterproductive for my business, but a lot of times I tell people you are watching too much news. It does get repetitive. We only assume sometimes people watch for 15 minutes. We tend to repeat information. And if you watch it for 3 or 4 hours, it's probably not mentally healthy. Doctor, thank you again for joining us. Dr. Carole Lieberman. If you need someone to talk to, whether you're thinking about suicide worried about a friend or a loved one, like the doctor said, or would like emotional support, call the National Suicide Prevention Line, 1-800-273-8255. That lifeline provides help 24/7. The support is free. It is confidential for people in distress, along with prevention and crisis resources for you or your loved ones. Again, the number is on your screen, 800-273-8255.